In this video, I want to show you guys the EGO Nexus Power Station and talk to you guys about my experience using it with a storm that took out our power for 65 hours up next. Hey everyone, my name is Jeff, and on this channel I do all sorts of different tech reviews, tips, tutorials, do-it-yourself projects, and I've reviewed all sorts of different power tools, including the EGO power system tools that use the batteries, and the same batteries that I am using here in this EGO Nexus. I'm going to be going through a bunch of different parts of this video, doing an overview of the power station, talking about all of its different features, what we were able to do with this power station, and then going through different testing to show you guys how much power this thing's going to provide to different appliances and different electronics. And there will be links down in the description, timestamps, if you want to jump around in this video. So we're in Wisconsin. We're in the southeastern Milwaukee area of Wisconsin, and last week we had some really bad storms that came through, taking down a ton of trees, a ton of power lines, and at one point there were 130,000 people without power in our state, and it took them several days to get the power back. We were actually without power for 65 hours, which was not fun. We've got a bunch of the EGO power tools already, so we already had the EGO battery system that we were using, and we thought that we would try out the Nexus power station. So we were able to buy this power station. This wasn't provided to us or anything. This is not a sponsored video by EGO. We bought this with our own money, and I wanted to tell you guys about our experience using it without having power for 65 hours. So first, let's do an overview of the Nexus power station. So the Nexus power station has 4 bays for the rechargeable batteries that you use to power these, and they just slide right off just like that. And we're going to pull all of these off here, and I want to show you. So I am using, I've only got 3 batteries. You can power it with up to 4, but I am using 2 of the 7.5. These are the larger batteries, and then I've got one of the 5 amp hour batteries that I'm using, and this is one of the older ones where it doesn't have the status reader. You just push it and it tells you whether it's got power. The newer EGO batteries have the status indicator where it's going to let you know how much power is left in the battery. These are used to power the station, and again, you can just quickly slide them on and off. If we look at the overall body of the Nexus power station, it's got these plastic grips at the top, and it's built so that it's got plastic on the bottom as well, so you can keep it somewhat lifted up off the ground. I like the fact that there's also kind of a plastic pallet or a tray down here on the bottom, so if this was going to be sitting down and you were worried about water rolling up to it, it's probably got at least an inch worth of clearance underneath it. There's also these plastic guards that are on here to kind of help waterproof this as well. Now, this is not meant to be sitting outside in the rain or anything like that, but it does have a water resistance rating, so you can let it get just a little bit wet. So if there's just a little bit of like dew in the morning or something like that, it's able to withstand that, but it's not meant to be sitting outside like in the rain. So let's take a closer look at the front of the Nexus power station, and what we've got are some buttons to just open up these plastic panels to give you access to the outlets as well as the USB outlets, and then you can just close those whenever you want. There's a gear button there as well as a power and reset button. To turn it on, you just press the power button. The LCD screen is going to light up with all your information, and then if you want to give power to either the USBs or the regular outlets, you can press whatever button you want. Now these outlets have power, and then, or I'm sorry, now these USBs have power, and now these outlets are going to have power based on what buttons you're pushing, and then it'll start pushing a load out to them. As we light up and power on this Nexus, the batteries will light up as well. The newer batteries will actually show you the status of charge on them. The older style batteries will just give you a flashing light letting you know that it is being used. And real quick, as we do in all the videos on this channel, we've hidden Tinker. Tinker is our little hidden robot. He looks just like this guy right on my shirt, and he briefly pops up somewhere in all the videos on this channel, including this video. So keep your eyes out for Tinker. If you are the first person to spot Tinker in this video, take note of the timestamp or the amount of time into this video that he pops up, and let me know that down in the comments section below. And if you are the first person to find him, we will put your name on our Tinker Forward Hall of Fame page, as well as give you a shout out in one of our future videos. So let's show you the whole unit all the way around. So there are 4 bays for the batteries, and I'll show you a little bit closer here how these just pop right off. You've got the connections where it's sending power into the power station, and then each one of these bays is labeled with its number. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This piece up top is what actually is going to contain the plug, and I'll show you that more in a minute. So this is our back, and again there's another plastic shield here which I like just to keep the water out of this area. This is where you've got your 80 amp fuse if that needs to be replaced, and then that power cord that I was telling you about up top, this is where you would plug that in if you want to charge the batteries up while on this power station. That's everything on the back. So you can just see the example of the raised up plastic giving that little bit of clearance so that if water were to get underneath this, if you were having a leaking basement or something like that, you've got rubber feet on the bottom, and then there's this tray to kind of protect the bottom of the power station. This is the last side here with the other 2 bays for the batteries, 1 and 3. And again, you can just slide those in and clip them on. So one of the other advantages to this power station is that, so with no batteries on this, if I use one hand to lift this up, this thing weighs 30 pounds, which to me is extremely reasonable to have some portable power giving you this much energy, and having this thing be so lightweight, you can easily pop this into like your car, a van, if you were going to take this to a friend's house. The portability of this compared to something that's like a large generator or something like that is extremely useful, very practical, especially if you're somebody that can't really lift heavy items, like say maybe a huge generator that's on wheels. Taking a look at the top of this, there's 2 Velcro straps. This holds this piece. This is your EGO Power Charger unit. So it's got one plug there and the other plug there. Underneath this, if we remove these straps, is this little compartment, the secret hidden compartment, and you can just use your fingers to get underneath this, pry this up. And in here we've got our 2 cords, our cord to go into the wall, and then we've got our other cord that goes from that charger box into the generator. So to plug this in, you've got this cable, which is going to go in the back, along with this cable, which goes into your charger box. This cable that goes from the charger box then goes over to your wall outlet. And if you're finding the information in this video helpful, take a second right now, smash that like button, as it helps out this video as well as this channel, and I greatly appreciate it. So let's talk about charging this unit. When you plug it in, the readout here changes to charging, and then if I'm going to throw a battery onto this power station, it'll then give me a readout of how many hours and minutes it's going to take to finish charging my battery or batteries that are hooked up. In this case, charging is complete because this battery is completely full. But just to tell you about charging times, so these 7.5 amp hour batteries take quite a while to charge up, and if you're planning to use this, if your power's out, you're going to need to go to a friend's house or find some other place with power. There's also a solar option that you can get for this power station, but you need some other way of getting power. You can charge these batteries by using the station as one of the ways, but just to give you an example, to charge one of these 7.5 amp hour batteries, you're looking at a charge time of about 3 hours per battery. So if you do have 4 batteries on here at 3 hours a piece, you're looking to at 12 hours. It's actually a little bit over 3 hours for charging this. So even more than that, to fully charge this unit up. My recommendation and what we did when our power was out is we bought a rapid charger unit, and this is an example of the rapid charger unit that you can buy. This did not come with the Nexus Power Station, but the job of this guy is to rapidly charge the batteries. And I know a big question is it safe to rapidly charge these batteries? It is. This has a built-in fan system to cool the battery as it's charging on here. So this is kind of a noisy charger. Sounds kind of like I would say like a vacuum cleaner equivalent to that. But when you stick this on, not only is it going to rapidly charge it, but it gives you this LED readout showing you what the status is going to be, 25, 50, 75, or 100%. This will charge up one of these 7.5 amp hour batteries in approximately an hour. Sometimes even less than an hour, like 45 minutes to an hour, we'll get one of these guys charged. So if you've got 4 of these guys, you can charge 4 of these up using this rapid charger in about 4 hours, significantly cutting down the amount of time from the Nexus Power Station charging. So that was one of the ways that we were able to charge batteries faster. Also from using the EGO tool system, if you've got some of these normal chargers, these are going to charge about the same rate as the Nexus Power Station, but you can use the Nexus Power Station, you can use one of these regular chargers, and you can use this rapid charger to keep charging up your batteries. And what we would do is we would take the largest batteries, the 7.5s, put them on the rapid charger, and then the smaller batteries we would set on the normal charger, and then when this would become finished, fully charged, we would just keep moving them down the line. So now we would finish charging whatever needed to still be charged on these little batteries. And these little batteries, the 5, I think on this rapid charger, it would take somewhere around like a half hour to fully charge up this battery. And if it already had partial charge from already charging on one of these other ones, it usually just took, maybe another 15 minutes or something to fully charge this up. But this allowed us to charge all the batteries as quickly as possible to get them back on the unit. I guess one of the downsides to this power station is it has no pass-through power. So there is no way to keep this thing plugged in and have it powering your devices at the same time. You either need to have this plugged in, and that's going to charge up your batteries, or you have to unplug this unit and then turn it on, and it will use the power from the batteries to power whatever it is that you are trying to power, whether it's a sub pump, refrigerator, something like that. So you can hot swap out these batteries, which is nice. So if I'm going to pull power to recharge, let's say my GoPro, and I'm going to turn on this charging port to give some power to my GoPro, which it's doing right now. There's a couple things. One, you'll see how much time I have left as far as power with the current load to charge, whatever it is. So I could charge this GoPro for another 41 hours using this battery. Now, if I was running low on this battery and I needed more power, I can take this other battery I've got, stick it in, and we'll give it a second or two to adjust. But the LCD screen now recognizes that I've added another battery, and then it's going to adjust the time. Now we're at 63, and while it's still doing all this charging, I can swap out, let's say this battery was just about out of power, and then I can go charge it on my rapid charger or do whatever, and now it updates the amount of charging time on the screen, showing what I've got left. So this power station has up to 2,000 watts of continuous power and 3,000 watts peak power. Depending on how many batteries or the size of the batteries you're using is going to give you different wattage output capabilities. So if you are using, these batteries come in sizes as small as 2.5, and if you have 2 or 2.5 size battery on here, this says 1200 watts right now. This will light up saying 600 watts. So you get 600 watt capability using a 2.5 amp hour battery. The battery I have on here right now is one of those 5s. So a 5 amp hour battery is going to give you 1200 watts power capability. And then a 7.5 or an equivalent of batteries equaling 7.5 or more is going to give you that 2000 watts of power output. So just depending on what batteries you have and how many you have hooked up, that's going to adjust what's on your readout here as far as wattage output. So now that we've talked about that wattage output, the other thing I want to mention is that when you hook up this power station to charge up these batteries, it actually charges one battery at a time, and then it just keeps rotating going down the line, but it does it evenly. So it tries to equally charge all the batteries, but again, it's only charging one battery at a time. So it'll go up a couple percent, and then it'll go to the next battery and bring that up to a couple percent. My thinking is it's probably doing that so that you can use the power of all those batteries to increase the wattage if you need that higher wattage at a later point. Let's say you're like mid-charging. That gives you that option then if you need to power something that is going to suck up a lot of wattage, you've got all those batteries somewhat charged to a certain percentage to pull from to increase that wattage. So in our 2012 Dodge Grand Caravan, we've also got one of these 110 power buttons. And if we go in the back, you'll notice for plugging in electronics, we've got our outlet, and we can actually charge up batteries if we are out and about camping on the go, or if we didn't have power at our house and we needed to charge our batteries from our vehicle. We also have that option. I don't know if I'd really want to charge it for an hour, but if I had to go someplace and I was going to the store or something and I could charge up the battery anyway, that's an option. The other thing is you can also buy car converters that will plug right into this outlet, the cigarette lighter, in your cars and also convert power. There's one, I think it's like $50 on Amazon, and I'll leave a link to it down in the description below. But that's also going to get it done where it'll allow you to plug in different chargers, also allowing you to charge up batteries using your vehicles. So let's talk about the EGO Power Plus app that you can install on your Apple device, your Android device, in the Google Play Store, the Apple Store. What's cool is this app gives you even more information than the readout on the LCD screen about all sorts of things with your power station. So you can connect by Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. We're going to go ahead and try connecting with Bluetooth. As long as you've got it powered on, it was able to find it. You can see all the information about what's currently going on. So it's at 88% battery level power. I can see the usage of watts, which we'll check out in a second. It shows me the time remaining. And then it shows me the percentage of batteries for each one of the batteries on the actual unit itself. So on the top one there, that's actually at 86 and then 87. And then battery 3 is at 95%. And then our fourth bay doesn't have any batteries. And then from here, I can control the outlets as far as giving them power or not giving them power. We'll show you an example. So I've got my extension cord hooked up and plugged into outlet number 1. This is actually hooked up to our chest freezer that's in the basement. So I can just turn that outlet on to pull power. And you'll notice, so right off the bat, do you hear that fan? That fan is running in the background, and I've noticed that when I'm running larger type appliances like our refrigerator or our freezer, that initial pull of power causes that fan to kick in. Now that fan doesn't stay on all the time, it just stays on initially, and I would equivalent it, sound-wise to probably like a small vacuum cleaner as far as noise level. And then we can see here the amount of time it's showing us on the LCD screen of how much time is remaining trying to run this freezer. I can also see in the app, so it's currently using 68 watts of power, and I've got 9 hours and 4 minutes. It kind of bounces around a little bit as it's continuing to power that freezer down here. I guess naturally the next question then is, how long can you run different devices? Let's find out. Right now I've got our 55-inch Insignia television that I am powering from the EGO Power Station, and then I've got our Nintendo Switch also being powered by the power station. And you'll see right now I am running two 7.5 amp hour batteries, and I'm going to do that for all these different tests. I can get 4 hours and 20 minutes rough playtime on the Nintendo Switch and our 55-inch television. Now if I had 2 more of these, that would extend it over 8.5 hours of time using the Nintendo Switch and the 55-inch Insignia television. So by unplugging the Nintendo Switch, I'm up to 4 hours, 43 minutes of usage between these two batteries. So again, you'd still be pretty close, over 8 hours if you had 4 of those 7.5 amp hour batteries. So I've got my laptop computer, which I use for my video editing, my LG Gram 17, and I've currently got that. That is the only thing hooked up to the power station. It's pulling roughly 86 watts, and the timer here shows me that I've got 9 hours, 21 minutes, and I currently have hooked up 2 of the 7.5 amp hour batteries to the power station. So again, with 4 batteries, you can get about 18 hours out of using a laptop. So I've got one of these little fan forced heaters. Let's see what we can do with this guy. We're going to turn this on, see what we're pulling for wattage. So I've got 16 watts right now on fan, and then let's go to like medium. Now we're pulling 475 watts, and I am getting heat out of this. So with my 2 7.5 amp hour batteries, I'm down to 1 hour, 7 minutes. Let's put it on high, actually down below that. And you can see it's even showing on the little readout here how much output it's doing. So on high, this little space heater, which is sucking up 1363 watts, has now reduced our amount of power down to about a half hour with 2 of these 7.5. So you probably can run a small space heater off of this thing for about an hour before you're going to need to recharge. Here's that chest freezer that I was showing you before, and I've got the 2 7.5 amp hour batteries. Right now just started up, so it's pulling about 69 watts, and now that fan just kicked off. The compressor probably just stopped. So we're looking at about 6 hours, 41 minutes. So one of the scariest sights when your power is out is if you've got a sub pump and that is filled up with water and you have no way of pumping it out, you're going to be in trouble real quick. So one of the big questions is, will this power station run this is a 3rd horsepower sub pump. Let's say this thing got full. It's running it. And let's see, so right now we are pulling 352 watts, and it's showing that we have roughly 2 hours and 42 minutes of runtime from the sub pump. Now again, this is using those 2 7.5 hour batteries, so you're probably at somewhere around 4 to 5 hours, depending on when it's running. So it's done running at this point. It has done its job, it's drained. You'll notice that the power is going back up. So it's not a continuous thing. I suppose if we were getting a lot of rain and this pump was continuously running, then this amount of time would definitely go down. You'll notice now that it's not pulling anything because it's not running. We're back up to like 20 hours worth of power. So if you're looking at a source to help pump out your basement to make sure that that sub pump is able to keep running when you have no power, this will definitely start up our 3rd horsepower sub pump with no problem. So I also want to show you, we have one of these high efficiency water heaters, and part of it runs on the gas that's going into it right here, but then it's also got the electric component with it as well up top. And without power, essentially we couldn't heat up any more water in our hot water tank, and by about the 2nd day of having no power, we had run out of whatever hot water, it was all gone from that tank. So I was able to hook it up to the power station, and I've got it hooked up right now, and it kind of alternates between like 4 or 5 watts and then no watts, and I'm sure we've got a full tank of hot water right now. But after about an hour of plugging our hot water heater in to the power station, we were able to replenish all the hot water that's in our tank. One of the big things is your refrigerator. We've got one of these large refrigerators with the double doors, and then the freezer, which also has an ice maker down at the bottom. And when our power went out, again, I'll just do a quick test for you here, but we can go ahead and turn on, I've got the 2 7.5 amp hour batteries, so pulling power from it, and as you can see, the compressor is going to kick in, so it's going to use a lot of watts right up front, 11, 12, showing that we have about 2 hours of runtime from those 2 batteries. So, and it's going to fluctuate because the watts are also going to fluctuate. But we'll wait till that compressor stops. So here we are about a minute later and the compressor has stopped. So now it's using about 19 watts and you'll notice all of our time has gone up. So this is essentially how we kept our refrigerator and our freezer cold when we had no power. We would typically hook this power station up to the refrigerator for like an hour, hour and a half, let it continue cooling, and then we'd actually unplug it and let it sit. Let the refrigerator sit because stuff will stay cold in it as long as you're keeping the doors closed. So we were able to kind of stagger charging on the refrigerator to still keep it cold, use the power station to charge up other things around our house, like our freezer downstairs, our sub pump, and we would just keep alternating. And then at the same time, you're not just continuously using the batteries, and that just kind of helped extend the life. And you'll notice here that it's continuing to just kick in when it needs it. And that allowed us to get more life out of our refrigerator. Now, I also tested how long this was able to run our fridge without alternating it. We just let it sit and run. And with our two 7.5 amp hour batteries and our 5 amp hour battery, we were getting somewhere around 6 hours of continuous wattage that we could use to power the refrigerator. Now after that 6 hours, the batteries would be fully depleted. But then, like I said, not only were we staggering charges with different devices, we were also pulling off leaving one battery on, which was enough to still power the refrigerator, and charging the other 2 batteries elsewhere so that we could just hot swap them out later, still giving more power to the refrigerator. So now I'm outside on our back deck, and let's say you've got an RV or maybe you're going camping and you have some of these LED string lights and you want to power some of these guys while you're out and about camping. So this is a 15 LED bulb set, and shameless plug by the way, I've also done a really good review video on these. These are dimmable and they don't use a lot of power. If you want to check out that review, it'll be linked down below. But I've currently got all these plugged in to our power station, and you can see we're able to get about 12 hours, 45 minutes from those two 7.5 amp hour batteries. These lights are pulling roughly 25 watts of power. So if you're just planning on running some lights all night, you can do that as well. You're going to get just under 13 hours of use on 2 of these 7.5 amp hour batteries. If you had 4 of them, you're looking at almost 26 hours that you can power these lights, and you're probably only just going to have them on part of the night. So if you have them on for like 4 hours, you could probably power all those lights for several days just on 2 of these batteries. So I've got one of these circular saws. It is hooked up to that power station. Let's go ahead and see if we can cut through this 2x4. So I'm going back and looking at the footage while I was cutting, so 917 amps, and this dropped down to about an hour. That was on the 2 7.5 amp hour batteries, so you could double that if you had 4 of them. And you know, you're looking at a couple of hours of use of tools like that circular saw before you're going to deplete all the batteries. And again, if you can charge some of these continuously while you're using others, you'll increase the amount of time you can use stuff. So let's say you're like us and you run a mobile DJ company and you've got speaker systems that you're going to plug in. This is one of our smaller ones that we're going to use for outdoor events, but this is a Fender Passport 300 watt system. So a smaller speaker system, but perfect for outdoors. Same thing, like let's say you're going to set up a giant sound system for camping or something like that. You can power it with this power station. It's getting it done. I've got the EGO app open. Right now this thing's only pulling 50 watts because I don't have it turned up super loud, but with those 2 7.5 amp hour batteries, you're looking at over 10 hours worth of power right now. So this will definitely get it done if we were going to use this for a mobile application, if we were providing some sort of music at, say, a city park or something along those lines where we didn't have an outlet to plug into. So let's jump into pricing on all of this stuff that I'm talking about. And again, all this stuff is going to be linked down in the description below so you can check out current pricing as well as more information. The Nexus Power Station, if you're going to buy this by itself with no batteries, This is currently priced at $499. So $499 gets you the power station. If you've got other existing batteries from other EGO products that you're already using, you can pop those batteries right in here. So $499 is going to be your investment. Now you can buy this power station. It is sold as a combo kit where you get this as well as some batteries. The cheapest kit that's available is the EGO power station that comes with 2 of the 7.5 amp hour batteries, and that is going to be priced at $999. You can also buy this as a kit with 4 of the 5 amp hour, the smaller batteries. So you get 4 5 amp hour batteries and the power station. That is currently priced at $1,299. So $1,300 is your investment. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. And then you've also got the option where you can buy the batteries separately. So if you are interested in the smallest battery, which is the 2.5 amp hour battery, which I actually don't have, you can buy those for $150. The 5 amp hour battery, which is basically double the capacity, is going to be $250. And then the 7.5 amp hour battery, this guy is going to set you back $350. Woo! Now, in addition to that, if you do want to charge this thing with solar, EGO did recently come out with a solar charging pack that allows you to convert the power from a solar panel coming into this unit to charge up the batteries. But again, it's going to be a very slow way to charge these batteries. I don't know if I'd recommend it, but you can buy the solar charger kit. So that power solar controller is going to be $229, and you can only charge a max of 180 watts input power. So they recommend a Renogy 100 watt panel, and that's going to be priced at $115 for the panel. So if you're looking to go the route of solar charging with this, $115 for the solar panel, and then another $229 for the controller box that you hook up to this to convert the power to charge it. In my opinion, I would recommend getting or investing in one of these rapid chargers. So this rapid charger is going to be priced at $100. And again, this is going to charge the batteries like 3 to 4 times faster than using the generator. You can charge up the 7.5 amp hour battery in about an hour. Figuring out a way, if you're using solar, to power this rapid charger and then just use this to charge the batteries up, that in my opinion is way more efficient than using this power station to recharge all of your batteries. So who is this power station for, and what are my thoughts after using it without power for 65 hours? I don't know if this power station is for everybody, and you definitely have to look at all your different options. You need to look at what you plan on using this for, and you need to look at your budget. So the unit itself, right, bare bones with no batteries at $500, in my opinion, is a pretty modest investment for some sort of portable power, but it is portable power. So naturally you're going to compare this to other generators that are out there, probably gas powered generators. Now, we actually owned a 5,500 watt gas powered generator for many years, and since that point have switched over, and now we're just going to use this EGO Power Plus power station. And there's a lot of differences. A lot of the positives to this is you can use it inside. You don't have any gas emissions from it. It is very light, you know, at 30 pounds to transport this around. We're using it as that backup power solution to run our sub pump and our refrigerator, freezer, but we also do a lot of camping, and we're probably going to use this if we go tailgating, if we go to a park, things like that. You've got those portable power options, and in my opinion, it's extremely quiet. It is not dead silent, and if you are powering something like a refrigerator, that fan is going to kick in, and it's just intermittent. It you know, will be on for about a minute, and then it will a lot of times turn off. In my opinion, this is a very quiet unit. When the power went out in our area from this storm, you'd walk outside and all you could hear 24/7 were all the gas generators that were running on everybody's houses. And it, after a while, honestly just got extremely annoying. We didn't have any of those problems using this unit, and we could use it inside. We could keep it in the basement. We could keep it on the first floor. We didn't have to run 300 feet of extension cord outside somewhere to wherever that gas powered generator was, because we were able to use it inside. So things to look at. Now, is this a cheap investment? Definitely not. If you're going to buy this with all the different batteries, and I would recommend getting that rapid charger, you're looking at roughly around $2,000 as an investment for this power station, which in my opinion is not cheap at all, and definitely not something that everybody should do. But if you're already a fan of EGO products, if you've got some of their other batteries from other power tools, you've already kind of made an investment in this power station. Just buying the bare bones power station may not be as bad of a financial pull to you as spending that like full $2,000 to get the full capability out of this thing. And as you can see, you can definitely run this thing with like two 7.5 amp hour batteries and still do a ton with it. So you may also want to just look at purchasing part of this and then adding more batteries at a later point. So there's a lot of different options. You know, something else, comparing this to say a gas generator, that gas generator goes down for whatever reason and you're completely out of your portable power. Whereas if one of these batteries runs out of charge or the battery just stops working, you can hot swap it out with another one and still keep going. So just having more of those different options is what I really like about this unit. But something I would definitely keep in mind is, especially if you're trying to use this as a backup power source, is what are you going to do to recharge these batteries when you run out of power? With our power being out for several days, we found that we were using all the power in these batteries and kind of swapping out different appliances and stuff about every day. We would need to recharge these. So you're going to need to look at, how are you going to recharge these batteries if you don't have power? Are you going to a friend's house? Are you going to use your vehicles to recharge these? Are you going to try some sort of a solar option, which isn't always as fast to get power for these batteries? Things you need to consider, and things that we didn't completely think about before purchasing this unit, that you also want to keep in mind if you're considering this EGO Power Station. So I'm interested to know your thoughts about the EGO Power Station, as well as your questions. Let me know down in the comments section below. And I've done a whole bunch of other EGO power tool reviews on this channel. So everything from the multi-tool system, the trimmer edger, the pole saw with the extension to get those high tree branches, and even the push mower. You can check out all of those review videos that use the same batteries as the ones that I was using here in the Nexus Power Station. Those will be linked down in the description below. My name is Jeff, and it's always a pleasure doing these weekly videos for you. And if you're new here and you haven't yet subscribed, take a second right now, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and you will get notified every time I release my weekly videos. I appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to make every day awesome, and I will see you guys in the next video. But in the meantime, click on these videos over here because they are helpful and awesome.